I visited the actual location of my favorite 100 famous views of Edo painted by Hiroshige Ando to see what the scene looks like today. The 5 pines along the Onagigawa Canal, 097, is a view looking toward the Nakagawa River from above the current Onagi River Bridge. Please check Applemap to see where Hiroshige painted this picture from. The area circled by the red dotted line is about less than 6 kilometers west of Edo Castle. Enlarge the map and put a red gradient on Hiroshige's viewpoint. Hiroshige would have looked south down Yatsudori from Sumiyoshi Station on the present-day Toei Shinjuku line and east from about the top of the Onagigawa Bridge over the river. Let me cover this map with an old map from the Tempo era. At that time, the Onagi River Bridge was not yet in place, and the 5 pine trees and the words Kuki Shikibu Shoyu can be seen on the right side of Serucho, where Hiroshige painted the famous pine trees as the main theme. In this area, 5 pine trees were planted along the canal, hence the name of the place, Gohonmatsu, 5 pines. Later, 4 of the pine trees died, leaving only the pine tree of the Kuki family, the feudal lord of the Ayabe domain in Tango Province, which grew to reach the Onagigawa Canal. The lush pine trees became so large that they covered the surface of the water and were considered rare and famous in Edo. Here is a map of the area as it was in the Edo period on Rikichizu. The Onagigawa Canal, which runs in a straight line from east to west, was opened around 1590 by Tokugawa Ieyasu, who established Edo Castle as his residence, and ordered Onagi Shirobei to open a canal to Jyotoku in Shimofusa province in order to secure salt as a food source for his troops. Later, the canal was also used to transport tourists to Kanode, Mama, and Sakura, as well as visitors to Narita-san Shinshaji Temple, and was used for transportation other than salt. It is said that at that time, it took about half a day to travel the 13 kilometers from Edo to Jyotoku by boat. In 1629, the Onagigawa Canal was widened along with the Tone River's eastward shift project. The so-called eastbound sea route of goods, which had previously bypassed the Bazo Peninsula, was now carried from Choshi up the Tone River, from Sekijuku down the Edo River, and via the Onagigawa Canal to Nihonbashi, becoming an artery for the distribution of goods to Edo. Hiroshige also depicted these 5 pine trees in his picture book Edo Souvenir. The perspective of this painting is the view looking toward Edo from the east, but the bridge depicted immediately behind the pine tree in this painting does not exist. There is a new Takahashi Bridge quite a bit further on, but it should be depicted as about a small bridge because of the distance. The bridge beyond that would be Takabashi, which is about 2 kilometers away, so this painting is depicting something that is not visible. Next, please take a look at the Edo Mishozu by Saido Jessen, which also depicts the 5 pines. You can see a magnificent pine tree protruding from the house of the Kuki family on the left, so that it crosses over the black fence and spans the Onagigawa Canal. Even the 3 pillars supporting the pine tree branches extending from the river's edge are accurately depicted. A man who looks like a monk on a boat called Jyotoku-bune heading east is soaking his hand towel in the river, probably because it is hot. The Onagigawa Canal, which actually flows in a straight line, has a gentle arc on the left side, perhaps adjusted for the painting. The small bridge seen beyond the boat is the Oshima Bridge over the Yakajukan River, beyond which the row of houses has partially retracted to the left, with small pine trees planted on both sides. Here stands a Kashindo, a Buddhist shrine, and a stone monument with directions to the temple of 500 arhats. Turn left here, and you can reach the temple in about 300 meters. Hiroshige painted 2 other views of the Onagigawa Canal in his 100 famous views of Edo. Manenbashi Bridge at Fukagawa in view 56, a view of Mount Fuji from the bridge just before the Onagigawa Canal exits into the Sumida River, and Nakagawa River Mouse in view 72, a view of a strategic transportation point where the Nakagawa and Onagigawa canals intersect. The 5 pines along the Onagigawa Canal is located right in the middle of the Onagigawa Canal. Let's take a closer look at the painting by Hiroshige. The magnificent pine tree protruding from the large left is the pine tree overhanging the Kuki family's mansion. It is supported by piles extending from the edge of the Onagigawa Canal, which is protected by wooden piles. Isn't it? A man who looks like a monk on a boarding boat heading toward Jayatoku is dipping his hand towel in the water, just like in Edo Misho Zoo. Beyond the shoreline on the left is depicted a slight depression in the wall of a private house, and a little further on is what appears to be a small bridge. If this is the Ashima Bridge and the hollow is the approach to the 500 Arhats temple, the positions are reversed. After the second pillar supporting the pine tree, what appears to be a temple is depicted, but it seems to be the 500 Arhats temple. This, too, would be misaligned. The pine trees occupy nearly 20% of the painting. However, if you look at the actual calmness of the scene, the pine trees are overemphasized. The height of the pillars supporting the pine tree makes it look like a ridiculously large tree, but, well, this is also a composition typical of Hiroshige. I actually went to this location. This is the view from the Onagigawa Bridge. The pink wall on the far left is the current Shimachu Home Center, and the Kuki family mansion was located just at the end of the wall. This is where the pine trees were planted. The blue bridge in the back is where it crosses the Ukiyo-e River and where the Ashima Bridge used to be. It is now the Onagigawa Clover Bridge that crosses the two canals. On the north side of Onagigawa Bridge, the location of this photo shoot, there is a relocated signpost from the Temple of 500 Arhats, which once stood at the end of Ashima Bridge. According to the inscription on the back of the monument, this was rebuilt in the second year of Bunka, 1805, so this is a stone monument that Hiroshige and Saido Jessen would have actually seen. In the space near the river on the monument, several young pine trees are planted along with a stone pillar engraved with the side of 5 pine trees. The Asahi Shimbun newspaper reported that the pine trees actually painted by Hiroshige were cut down in 1909 after soot from a nearby factory killed them. The current view is inserted into Hiroshige's painting. In addition, although the branches are not very large, I added a reproduction of a pine tree at the base of the Onagigawa Bridge. In researching Hiroshige's paintings and maps of the time, I wondered if he really went to this place and painted this picture. This is because the location of the objects in Hiroshige's painting is too similar to that of Edo Misho Zoo, and the location of the objects in Hiroshige's painting is also out of alignment. Mission to use the design from Saido Jessen, who drew the Edo Misho Zoo, when he drew the 100 Famous Views of Edo series. I see. Then it is understandable that the paintings are so similar. Although we will not know the truth until we interview Hiroshige himself, it seems that he did not visit this 5 pines, but drew it based on Edo Misho Zoo.